Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Kevin Hollerbach.
Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves.
Those who have turned a blind eye to the sustainability movement might ask themselves, what exactly are we saving ourselves from? Indifference. Saturday, September 27th, is a day that I will never forget.
UMassAmherst spokesman Ed Blagozewski told 22 News there were no arrests and no serious injuries. Alumni were glad nothing got out of control.
No violence at all, actually. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, the police were fine, the students were fine. They weren't, as far as I remember, there weren't any problems. I mean, I haven't heard of anything, you know. So it was well controlled, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, we did it, everyone. The tailgate was obviously a huge success because nobody got arrested, right? All right. Not exactly. Are we really more surprised by the fact that no students were arrested than the glaring issue at hand that 22 News gave an indifferent nod to? Let me give you a little more of the backstory. Quick show of hands. Who would want free tuition? That's what I figured, all right. It took $28,000 in overtime hours, disposal fees, and equipment usage to get Lot 22 cleaned up after the homecoming tailgate. One of you could have been granted free in-state tuition, housing, and fees with $4,000 of extra spending money thrown in. 22,000 pounds of primarily recyclable bottles and cans were bulldozed, transported, and dumped who knows where. What does it say about our university when we, the student body, future world leaders, collectively pat ourselves on the back for avoiding a night in jail, while simultaneously shrugging our shoulders at the piles of garbage haphazardly strewn around the football stadium? Believe it or not, the results of the tailgate didn't surprise me. The EcoRep program runs a trash sort once every fall, just across the pond from here on the lawn of Goodell. We take a few trash toters from each residential area, get some EcoReps outfitted in these fancy TEDxUMassAmherst suits, and find out what students have been tossing out. While these numbers are based on a small sample size of only a few trash toters from a few residence halls, they give us a snapshot of some of the habits of the students. What we found was that only 48% of what was in the trash was actually trash. 17% was food waste or other compostable material, and the final 35% were bottles and cans. Even when students are bringing their own trash from their own dorm rooms to the trash rooms, the numbers are still not encouraging. Of course, certain actions are currently unavoidable. Almost everything we buy today comes covered in plastic. Trying to live in our so-called advanced society, zero waste, is impractical. In the case of the tailgate, the university only allowed drinks in aluminum cans, so using one was virtually unavoidable. What was avoidable, however, was sending that aluminum can to the middle of the ocean or to a landfill. Throwing things away is conveniently called, putting things in the garbage is conveniently called throwing away. But away is just another way of saying not here. Away is in the stomach of a bird on Midway Island. Away is on the shores of a distant beach. Away is on the bottom of a greenhouse gas-producing landfill near a low-income community. Just because something is no longer in your trash bin does not mean that it no longer exists. There is no away. It will take approximately 500 years for a water bottle or an aluminum can to degrade, and up to 1,000 years to biodegrade. Instead, recycling that same can or bottle limits extraction and transportation of virgin materials, saves money, and prevents us from turning another park into a garbage dump. While I would be content if all of you left here today resolved to recycle from here on out, individual action alone is not sufficient. Engaging and challenging your friends, family, and colleagues in dialogue to build an understanding of the factors at play in ecological apathy is imperative to spark any significant change. Make it clear that sustainability is not reserved for environmental scientists or policymakers any more than writing is reserved for journalists or basic addition is reserved for mathematicians. Open their eyes to the idea that individual action compounds, and sustainability will be the new norm only when individuals chip in. Be accountable to one another to keep the planet clean, as you would with a roommate to keep your dorm room clean. Inform them that progress isn't building another drive-through, or isn't building another strip mall with a drive-through Starbucks, but rather progress is a means and a measure of how far we've come as a human race, both intellectually and morally, and it's demonstrated by our actions. Remind them that we all share this one Earth, and convince them that indifference is not an option, and that if they hold anything or anyone dear in this world, they need to care. It's hard to take a step back and realize that most thoughts and actions are built upon years of societal value formation and past experiences. This human-centered, convenience-first mentality is not a choice that every individual takes, but rather it's a self-perpetuated facade that's built into our brains to keep us happy and ignorant until it's time to go. But progress requires that we as a species come to this realization before it's too late. One thing I've learned in my past 4 years here at UMass is that there is no man to fight against. All of these long-standing systems at play in the world are just a network of people. And we students are at a unique position in this network. We learn how the system works, and we learn how we might be able to do a little bit better than the last generation at running it. Each one of us will have a niche in this network, and together we'll have our chance at reshaping this system. This is our opportunity to make this generation the one that works. On September 5th, 1977, the Voyager 1 spacecraft was about to exit our solar system. Carl Sagan suggested that the spacecraft turn around one final time to take a picture of our home. And this is what it captured. This is Spaceship Earth. In his book, titled Pale Blue Dot, named after this picture, Sagan wrote, "There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. At least for now, we truly are alone in the universe, and we alone are responsible for the mess that we've made out of our borrowed home. But all hope is not lost. This is our opportunity to coach, to create, and to change the system, to keep our pale blue dot blue. Because nothing is more important than preserving the place that makes all else possible. It starts here, and it starts with us. Thank you.